Welcome back to another Micmac Tabletop review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 TS semi-automatic 380 pistol. This is the Smith & Wesson newest version of their Bodyguard 380 pistol. It's the Bodyguard 2.0, released to the market in 2024. I picked this one up new at the end of last year. Now there's a lot of interest in this pocket pistol. Sales of the Bodyguard 2.0 have been brisk in my area, with stores usually sold out as soon as units are received. So it would seem to have been very popular. In addition, there's been a flurry of positive articles and internet reviews that might lead you to believe the Bodyguard 2.0 might just be the best 380 pocket pistol ever. Perhaps even the holy grail of pocket pistols. However, more recently, I've noticed a number of internet reviews that have also suggested the Bodyguard 2.0 may not live up to everyone's expectations. Still, there's no denying that the Bodyguard 2.0 is getting a lot of attention. So let's take a good look at it and see if the interest in the 380 pocket pistol is actually deserved. Now, before we go any further, let's make sure this gun is cleared first, and note that all of the guns featured in the review here have likewise been cleared. And by the way, if you enjoy this review, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Now, if you watch many of my reviews, you know that I like pocket and micro pistols. I've owned and reviewed a bunch of them. I even own one of the early Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 pistols. Here it is. It's got the Insight frame laser with its gray activation button, so we know it's an early one. I did a review of this gun several years ago. You can still see that review at episode number 2021-10. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 was actually popular enough in its day. In fact, it's done well enough to still be in production today as the updated Smith & Wesson M&P Bodyguard 380, a slightly improved version of the original. Note the M&P Bodyguard 380 is still on the Smith & Wesson website with a manufacturer's suggested retail price of about $400. And let's acknowledge the name Smith & Wesson Bodyguard can be a little confusing because beginning in the mid-50s, Smith & Wesson came out with a small frame 5-round 38 special double action revolver known as the Bodyguard, but officially called the Model 38 and 49. Then in 2014, Smith & Wesson introduced the M&P Bodyguard 38 double action revolver with polymer grips and an integral Crimson Trace frame laser. And here's one of Smith & Wesson's Airlight Bodyguard models for 38 revolvers. So the title Bodyguard has been used often by Smith & Wesson, usually associated with these small revolvers. However, in 2010, Smith & Wesson applied the Bodyguard name to a compact 6-round double-act hammer-fired 380 pistol. It was simply called the Bodyguard 380. And as you can see, it has a polymer frame, and it was offered with an integral laser like this one. In 2014, the Bodyguard 380 was updated with improved texturing on the slide, an improved trigger, and renamed the Smith & Wesson M&P Bodyguard 380. Of course, today we see Smith & Wesson has brought us this very, very different, new and improved, if you will, 380 Bodyguard 2.0. Improved probably isn't the right adjective here, because the new Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 launched in 2024, and compared to the old Bodyguard 380 really isn't just an improvement of an old design. Indeed, it's very different. Yes, the Bodyguard 2.0 is still a small 380 pocket pistol and still has the Bodyguard name, but it's a single-action striker-fired 10 to 12 round pistol that's been clearly redesigned from the ground up. Now, to be honest, since I already was an owner of an earlier Bodyguard 380, I wasn't terribly interested in an updated version when I first heard Smith & Wesson had released the 2.0. After all, my old Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 here is an okay pocket pistol, but nothing all that exciting compared to all the other 380 pocket pistols I've reviewed. Nonetheless, while 380 pocket pistols in general aren't as popular as they used to be, there are still many who search for just the right compromise of size, ease of carry, accuracy, reliability, and effectiveness in a pocket carry pistol. But I'd also seen pictures of the 2.0, and I wasn't inspired. It looked like a Smith & Wesson M&P pistol proportionally, but that's deceiving. Now, I try to keep an open mind, which is why I stopped to look at a new Bodyguard 2.0 at a local gun shop last summer. As I said, at first glance it looked very much like a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield or M&P P9 Compact, one of which I already have. Nice guns, but did I really need another Smith & Wesson M&P? If the clerk hadn't handed the Bodyguard over to me to hold and feel in my hand, I probably would have just been fine moving on. But wow, what a surprise. First of all, it's actually much smaller than it looks. There's a bit of a revelation when you first hold the 2.0 because it's so small, you don't expect it. But it also feels right, which is also a bit of a surprise. Yes, you can see that it's indeed slightly larger than the old Bodyguard 380. But it's also smaller, lighter, and holds more rounds than what is most certainly one of the Bodyguard's 2.0's main competitor today, the Glock 42 380. Another competitor would be the 10-round Ruger LCP Max. I actually have an LPC Max here. Compared to the Ruger LCP Max, the Bodyguard 2.0 is about the same weight, and it's only slightly longer overall. The Bodyguard 2.0 has a slightly longer grip than the Ruger LCP Max, but it's also slightly thinner. And more importantly, it also has a natural good feel to it with a grip angle that seems just perfect. At this point, the clerk had my attention, but I didn't buy. Not yet. At a little over $400, I thought I might find a better deal. Months later, I hadn't, so I went back and paid what was asked. The Bodyguard 2.0 comes in a sturdy cardboard box. Included are 2 magazines, a 10 and a 12-round magazine. There's a plastic orange chamber block, a lock, a manual, and the usual paperwork. As for specs, the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 is a single-action tilt-barrel, recoil-operated, striker-fired .380 semi-automatic pistol. The Bodyguard 2.0 is available in 2 models, the TS and the NTS. TS stands for manual thumb safety, and NTS stands for no thumb safety. I should also mention that Smith & Wesson provides a third version, the Bodyguard 2.0 10RD compliant TS, which is compliant regulations in states that limit the magazine capacity to 10 rounds. The barrel is 2.7 inches. It's stainless steel. Overall length is 5.6 inches. Height is 4.1 inches with a flush magazine. Width is 0.75 inches. The slide is stainless steel with an armorite finish. The frame is reinforced black polymer. It's textured. Note all the controls are textured. The front sight is a true glow tritium night sight dot surrounded by a bright red-orange ring on the front. The rear sight is serrated and notched. Both are driftable. There's a loaded chamber indicator here. The gun is equipped with a flat face safety trigger. Trigger pull is 4 pounds 4 ounces. Magazine release is here, and it's reversible. Capacity is 10 plus 1 or 12 plus 1 rounds. As for safeties, there's a trigger safety lever, firing pin block, thumb safety on the TS model, no mag safeties. By the way, the thumb safety is ambidextrous. There's a slide lock release here. This gun has a last round hold open function, and there's a takedown lever here. Weight is 11.4 ounces with an empty flush magazine. Now before we go to the range, let's talk about function. I was a little critical of the earlier Bodyguard 380, such as its sights, too black, slide serrations, too few, trigger, too long and heavy, capacity, only 6 rounds, and grips, too narrow and short. All these features are improved in this 2.0 version. That being said, the magazine release on the 2.0 seems a little stiffer and seems to take a deeper push to release. More importantly, the original Bodyguard 380 was a double-action hammer-fired pistol, which I kind of liked. On the other hand, the Bodyguard 2.0 here is a single-action striker-fired pistol, but with a significantly better trigger, and it has a higher capacity, all of which I really like. But actually, it's the re-engineered micro-compact polymer frame that really gets your attention. Texture, curves, and swells that are just brilliant. An exceptional undercut trigger guard and nice curved beaver tail allowed for a good, high, comfortable grip. Fit and finish are excellent, with a crispness to detail that I found impressive for the price. The Bodyguard 2.0's magazines seem well built. They're black with bright orange followers like the earlier version 380, which I like. However, the 2.0's magazines are notably stiffer to load. Last rounds are really hard to load, especially on the 12-round magazine. That should get better with use. Meanwhile, I'm solving that problem currently by using my Uplula loader and sometimes just skipping that last round. Magazines seat nicely with a good solid sure click. The slide seems a little heavy to rack, but not too bad. There are very good serrations front and rear, and even little ears on the rear of the slide to assist. Now my wife says racking is a little too hard for her, so she prefers the easier racking of my SIG P238 or CAR P380 pistol. Slide racking weight is only about 16 pounds, actually pretty light comparatively for a pocket pistol, but if you have weak hands you may want to give this gun a try before you buy. And try using the push-push method rather than the push-pull method to rack the slide. Again, this could improve with use, and there are a number of reviews out there that confirm this. And note that these slide serrations are really excellent. Also note that the Bodyguard 2.0 controls are small, meaning they may be difficult for some to operate, but they're all steel. All have good texturing. The takedown lever, the slide release, the safety, and even the mag release are all steel as they were on the original Bodyguard 380. And note that the safety is ambidextrous and the magazine release is reversible, so it can be changed to the right side if you like. The safety lever is quite small and recessed and stiff, but can be easily swept off with my thumb. Pushing it back on takes a little bit of finger strength, quite stiff. That may improve with use. I like that the safety is somewhat recessed and therefore out of the way if I want to ignore it. Of course, the Bodyguard 2.0 can be had without a safety, the NTS model. What about releasing the slide with my thumb? Well, it's not a procedure I typically use, but this gun actually appears to be built for thumb release. But it's also an issue of complaint that the release is much too stiff for some people. Note that release is a good size. It's got a very strong texture and is positioned in the right place. And for me, it's no problem. In fact, it seems quite easy to release for this gun, so its operation may vary between guns or may improve with use. The Bodyguard 2.0 sights are considered quick acquisition sights with the Trinium True Glow front sight and larger notch frame rear. Note the orange-red circle around the True Glow dot. Personally, I like this front sight, but I prefer a little tighter visual frame on the rear sight. I suspect this rear sight may have been designed for quick, closer targeting, which makes some sense given it's a pocket pistol. But beyond 50 feet, my groupings get pretty sloppy with this rear sight. By the way, I've been told that the rear sight on the original Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380 will fit the Bodyguard 2.0 if you'd like to get a tighter picture. As for these grips, even with the flush magazine, I pretty much have full 3 fingers on these grips, and note the deep undercut at the trigger guard and high arch beaver tail back here. The result is I can get very high on the grips. By the way, I have large hands with long fingers, and note the grip swell. Along with these nice contoured grips, there's also a nice sure texture and an excellent grip angle of 18 degrees, which means this gun is a natural pointer for me. That's important. Excellent for point and shoot situations if needed, which is probably most likely the scenario for this gun. The hinge safety type trigger has a smooth flat face that has a good comfortable feel to it. Very nice. The trigger take up is only about a 1/4 inch. Pulling through the wall takes about 4 pounds with travel of only about a 1/4 inch. The brake is at about 90 degrees and it's clean and very crisp. Reset is again only about a 1/4 inch of release with a clear and crisp click. This is a very good striker-fired trigger overall in my opinion. I find that most pocket pistol triggers tend to deliver a pinch to my finger. Very few are really comfortable to shoot. This is definitely a good one. Very, very nice. Okay, I think we're ready to take this gun to the range and try it out. Okay, remember that the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 is basically a pocket pistol. As such, it's not really intended for distance shooting, and I usually start at 15 to 18 feet for point-and-shoot pocket pistols. So let's just start out at 15 feet, which is my typical training distance for micro or pocket pistols, and see how I do. I'm shooting Remington UMC 95 grain full metal jacket ammo here. By the way, the Bodyguard 2.0 came with 2 magazines, one flush 10 round and one 12 round extended magazine, so I'll be cycling back and forth between them. The extended magazine gives better grip purchase, But if I were to carry this gun, I'd probably be carrying it with the Streamline Flush magazine. And note that I can't get the last round into that extended magazine. Also, one of the common complaints about the Bodyguard 2.0 is that it tends to shoot to the left. I tested the sight using a bore sighting cartridge, and yes, they're just a bit off. If these sights are off about 2 inches to the left at about 15 feet, about 4 inches off at 35 feet, that's quite a bit in my opinion. A little drifting of that rear sight might fix that. Let's try the flush magazine. Let's push the target out to 24 feet and try some controlled rapid fire. The gun feels great. Very easy and comfortable to shoot. Great trigger. Minimal felt recoil. Like the gun, hate that rear sight. Sorry, it just doesn't work for me. I'm having trouble with centering my shots. Now at 35 feet, can I keep my shots on target? Well, I did okay, but I'm definitely not a fan of this rear sight. I'm a little disappointed, but otherwise, I do really like this little pocket pistol. Now, there's no doubt about it, in my opinion, the Bodyguard 2.0 is indeed very good. Other than the lack of accessories, the rear sight notch being a little too wide, and how hard it is to get that last round loaded into the magazines, I really couldn't come up with any significant cons myself regarding this gun. So far, this Bodyguard 2.0 has performed flawlessly. It seems reliable and easy to carry. True, I haven't had this gun for more than just a few months, and I've only shot about 300 to 400 rounds so far. Still, I admit, as an easy-to-carry close-up pistol, I really like this little gun. Checking the internet, however, I have indeed found common complaints, including the factory sight's setting being a bit off, others agreeing with me that the rear sight notch is too wide, safety lever stiffness, not staying open after firing the last round because of the shooter's thumb interfering with the slide or slide release, not being able to easily release the slide stop by thumb action, and the hard loading of magazine last rounds, failure to feed issues with some ammo, feed ramp problems, and even slide biting. So I have to acknowledge that some people have had issues. As such, I can't say the Bodyguard 2.0 is perfect, which would certainly depend on the context. As for notable positives, the Bodyguard 2.0 is a pocket pistol that feels great in the hand. Really great. It looks good. It has a nice armorite finish. There is a loaded chamber window here. It just feels shootable and has an impressive flat trigger, lighter and shorter than before. Because of the high grip, low bore, and tilted barrel design, this is a really comfortable to shoot pocket pistol as well. I could shoot this little gun all day. Nice and compact, very thin, 12 and 10 round magazines, only 10 ounces of weight, good grip texture, good grip angle. Sure, the open rear sights makes accuracy difficult beyond 50 feet for me, but overall, if you just keep in mind that it's a close-up pocket pistol, it's pretty damn good as pocket pistols go in my opinion. Holster options for the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 are pretty good for such a new entry to the market. Personally, I'm just relying on my sticky pocket holster for now, but I'm exploring other options for inside the belt carry. CYI Supply has a Kydex holster that looks pretty good to me. Disassembly and reassembly of the Bodyguard 2.0 is simple and straightforward. Make sure the gun is empty. Rack the slide back, allowing the slide to lock back. Remove the magazine. With the magazine removed and slide locked back, rotate the takedown lever down. Slide the slide forward, pull the trigger, and pull the slide off the frame. Remove the recoil spring and rod. Remove the barrel, and that's it. Reassembly is basically the opposite. Return the barrel, recoil spring, and rod to the slide. Make sure everything is centered. Return the slide to the frame and lock the slide back on the frame. Rotate the takedown lever back up into position release the slide, return a magazine, and test for function. That's it. As for price, the manufacturer's suggested retail price on the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 is $450, but current national sales data would suggest a real price of closer to around $400. And note that Genetron.com suggests that the Bodyguard 2.0 is just too new to the market to have a reliable use price at this time. By the way, from the time that I bought mine at the end of last year, the sale price of the Bodyguard 2.0 in my local area stores has dropped by about $40. I paid $420 just a few months ago, and today the gun is on sale available for $380, $40 less. That would suggest that the initial rush for the Bodyguard 2.0 may be cooling a bit. In fact, I recently found some sales for as low as $340, so it's well worth looking around. Now, before we end today's video, I'd like to remind you that if you haven't already, be sure to like, share, and subscribe down below. And thanks for watching. So in a nutshell, the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 pocket pistol came out last year and is more than just an upgrade. It's a notable improvement over the Smith & Wesson M&P Bodyguard 380. The hope was that all the imperfections of the original design would be corrected, but reaching perfection isn't easy. There's no doubt the market has responded very positively to the Bodyguard 2.0, and Smith & Wesson appears to have addressed many of the features desired in a pocket carry firearm. Offered at a good price point with truly outstanding ergonomics, practical safety features, impressive capacity, and a thin, light, yet comfortable to handle and shoot frame. With an excellent flat-face safety trigger, it's no wonder that the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 has garnered such popularity. However, that doesn't mean the Bodyguard 2.0 is perfect. Nonetheless, while shooters' needs differ, and meeting everyone's need is a heck of a challenge, I think Smith & Wesson did a very good job with the Bodyguard 2.0. Back to my original question regarding the Bodyguard 2.0, has Smith & Wesson indeed created the very best compromise of size, comfort, of carry, and effectiveness in a pocket carry firearm? Well, in my honest opinion, no. Not for me, but I think the Bodyguard 2.0 came really darn close, and that's personally frustrating because they came so close. Sadly, the Smith & Wesson fell short with its magazines and its rear sight in my opinion, but it makes me root for improvements which might be easy enough to obtain either in aftermarket advancements or perhaps in a 2.1 version. The good news here is that given the high popularity of the Bodyguard 2.0, I've got to believe an improvement rear sight is just around the corner, or I may just try out the old Bodyguard 380 rear sight as suggested. And I'll bet Laser Max or Arma Laser will have an add-on touch-activated laser available before long. But let's be realistic. The quick acquisition sights actually work pretty well for a pocket pistol range, which is the intent of the Bodyguard 2.0, so perhaps I should just focus on the front sight and get on with it. So wrapping up, keep in mind that I like pocket pistols. I've carried them for years and I've reviewed a bunch of them. So what do I really think of the Bodyguard 2.0? Well, I'll admit, I really haven't been this excited about a new pocket pistol for a long time. I mean, I really like this little gun. In fact, I think the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 has just become the new benchmark for my comparison of pocket pistols. Any weapon you carry is better than the one you left at home. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll be back for my next tabletop review. Until next time, stay safe.